Hello, and thank you for joining another episode of Dumb Data. In this breakdown, we'll finally find out who emerges as the victor in the three-battle saga between skateboarding junkies Rodney Mullen and Daewon Song, in the November 2004 release of Almost Round 3, The Almost Video. The third installment of the Rodney vs. Daewon trilogy came out a year before Almost Skateboards debuted as Mr. Mullen's and Mr. Song's new company, and 5 years after Round 2 came out. A lot of changes went down for both Mullen and Song between Round 2 and Round 3, including Rodney's departure from World Industries brand A-Team with Mark Johnson to the establishment of Enjoy, after fellow A-Team riders Chet Thomas left to skate for Darkstar, and Gershon Mosley transitioned to Blind. Daewon moved from Decca to a new company, Artifact, in 2002, joined by Chris Haslam and Cooper Wilt. Both Rodney and Daewon released legacy-defining videos after Round 2 and before Round 3, with Mullen's Globe Shoes part Opinion in 2001, featuring what could be argued as his magnum opus in the 6+ minutes of footage depicting irreplaceable flat ground and freestyle skateboarding. Daewon's Decca part Second to None came out in 2001, featuring an absolute assault on DIY warehouse setups with non-stop smoothly executed trick after trick after trick. Rodney departed Enjoy at the same time Mark Johnson did, who got fed up with the thankless drudgery of being the team's brand manager and headed to Chocolate.
And then there was a couple of instances where I caught some dudes just being like really lazy, you know?
Right.
And it didn't make any, I was like kind of pissed.
Because you were working so hard, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, people become lazy when they don't even care anymore.
When you're paying someone and you're like, hey, dude, like, let's go, you know, let's go film. It's Saturday afternoon. And they're like, no, dude, I'm going to watch The Princess Bride or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And you're like, you got that thing on DVD. You can watch that anytime.
Yeah.
It's Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I pay you.
Yeah.
Get your ass over here right now.
Yeah.
Like, what the
Which found Mullen in a position to reach out to Daewon and ask about partnering up for what we now know as Almost Skateboards in 2003. A year prior, World Industries and Dwindle Distribution, bundled under the parent company Cubic Marketing, were sold to Globe International in a $46 million deal that significantly benefited founders Steve Rocco and Rodney Mullen, making those two buku rich. Now a multimillionaire in 2003, Rodney Mullen unites with one of his best skate homies, Daewon Song, to establish a new, fun team of old friends and fresh faces, while pumping cash into the Round 3 project's production value. Names in the Almost Round 3 crew include art direction by legendary board graphics designer Mark McKee, producer credits to the Australian brothers and Globe founders Peter and Steve Hill, and is Mike Hill the third brother? Because director credits are under Matt Hill, who seems to be the third Hill brother and Globe CEO. 5 editors, a million filmers, a full music and sound team, a construction team, IT department, and what appears to be random name drops in the end credits, including, we're behind the effort of Almost Round 3. With all this investment in a 30-minute skateboarding feature, we can expect the best footage and Rodney and Daewon's toughest matchup to go down, right? Well, yeah, basically. Canadian Chris Haslam opens up Round 3 with board slide flip-outs, weird flip tricks, and overall funky, gnarly street skating. Relatively unknown Cooper Wilt holds his own, skating to Franz Ferdinand and navigating a wide array of terrain, including roofs, pulls, poles, ledges, and more. 15-year-old Ryan Sheckler is introduced as an Almost team member, hucking himself down drops twice his height, including an ender at Australia's famous Martin Place. Perhaps most unexpectedly creative and confusing part of the video is the William Patrick section, which is a fictional Irish rapper portrayed by Chris Casey and Tyrone Olsen, with insane rail chomping and overall heavy skating while in costume and rapping to an original song. Greg Lutzka blasts onto the screen, flexing his flip tricks and consistency on rails before Rodney's up next to officially start Round 3. After some internet digging, there appears to be at least 2 Round 3 versions on YouTube, one where Rodney goes first and one where Daewon goes first. This breakdown is based on the video where Rodney goes first. Will Rodney redeem himself after losing Round 2 to emerge victorious against Daewon in the third round? Let's dive into some data and find the out. The animation manipulates us viewers into thinking Rodney's being knocked out as soon as the battle starts, opening with the first trick, a stationary nose manual nollie kickflip on a four-wheel dolly that passes from right to left, with some beautiful oil derricks as a backdrop and skating to the tune of The Clash's 1979 hit Train in Vain. A rolling handstand finger flip nose manual on a mani pad is next, before it's back to the classics with a couple freestyle clips, including 13 one-wheel 360 pivots, or pancakes, whatever they're called. Then a beastly one-handed handstand finger flip to primo/rail stand to nollie primo bounce flip. Hitting the banks, Rodney teeters on the edge of the top with a truck stand truck double heel flip, followed by a fakie frontside big spin half heel flip, Casper stall frontside pivot, then a half cab Casper stall backside pivot, Casper tray double flip. A quick manual cut shows us an impossible nose manual nollie flip, then we're skating forklifts, comprised of a crooked grind nollie pressure flip and a frontside crook nerd flip / nollie hard underflip. Picking up where we left off at the banks, we upgrade to a bigger one with more clips, starting with a half varial heel flip truck stand, then a half cab truck stand to fakie, and with some movie magic we're tricked into thinking Rodney did a frontside half cab truck stand, and then it's Sam Squanch. The famous Dorsey banks are heavily utilized in round 3, where Rodney ollies up and nose manuals down, does a finger varial heel flip nose manual, and a tray flip primo/rail stand to forward rail primo flip / forward rail stand to fakie. Making sure to include a line, we start with a half cab crook, followed by holy we're doing primo slides. How do you want your primo slides? Heel flip in to heel flip primo slide frontside varial primo flip? How about a switch heel flip primo slide switch frontside varial flip? Oh my god, Rodney's getting too strong, guys. We're doing switch frontside dark slides to fakie, a frontside dark slide pop over to fakie, half cab heel dark slide pop over, and a nollie frontside heel flip dark slide pop over to fakie. Whew. Let's tone it down with a cool line that starts with a frontside crook, followed by a harmless varial heel flip, ollie up the ledge, and then, oh god, what's he winding up for? Oh, nollie backside 360 big spin underflip. This is not good for my blood pressure. An amazingly well done nose manual nollie tray flip manual takes place before a 5-0 with 100% tail contact on the table that goes into a frontside varial toe flip, then into a nose manual. Dark slides are too easy now. Let's nose manual out of them, said only Rodney Mullen. Kickflip nose manual nollie 3-shove manual ollie up to nose manual nollie kickflip. Boom. The forklift gets more punishment in the form of a crooked grind nollie frontside heel flip before we start line 3, where Rodney kickflips up the Patty's Pub ledge, which isn't located in Philly, but instead is at 544 Mateo Street in downtown LA's Arts District. Shove it tray double underflip? Revealing he's at least 1% human, a rare Rodney bail precedes 2 more primo slides. Kickflip primo slide primo heel flip, then a kickflip primo slide frontside varial primo flip. The last dark slide of the part is a new one, nollie backside heel flip dark slide to fakie, and then it's time for more tables with a head-on 5-0 tray flip, then a Casper slide nose manual, before we kick off some flat ground on Hollywood's Walk of Fame while skating to Massive Attack's Teardrop. The classic kickflip underflip clip shows where all the production money went towards, with the Rodney Mullen star fake out over Spanish-American bandleader Xavier Cugat's actual star that blends into a varial heel flip underflip. This 3-trick flat ground line starts with a half cab flip underflip, then a shove it varial double underflip, capped off by the tried and true nollie backside 360. This clearly unplanned run-in with Jack Nicholson kicks off an underflip montage, featuring a nollie kickflip front foot underflip, switch kickflip underflip, backside kickflip underflip, nollie frontside kickflip underflip, and a switch backside kickflip underflip. More innovation features grind-to-grind transfers exhibited by this table-based frontside crook transfer to backside nose grind. A trio of crook callbacks include a half cab crook nollie inward heel flip, frontside crook nollie backside underflip, then a half cab crook nollie backside pressure flip. Didn't he already impossible nose manual? Oh my god, he nollie impossible out of it. F me. Returning to the Dorsey Banks for a 6-trick mini section, Rodney does a nose manual nollie kickflip fakie manny down, nose manual nollie kickflip nose manual down frontside, nose manual nollie kickflip nose manual down backside, tray flip nose manual frontside, tray flip nose manual backside with the dog, and a manual tray flip fakie manual. Then it's back to the bigger bank for 2 clips, a nollie frontside kickflip underflip, then a half cab pivot nose hook impossible, and that's it.
Psych!
Not really. There's 7 more exhausting combo clips that make up about 25 more individual tricks, and answers the question of what you get when you combine an innovative personality with a workaholic mindset in someone whose thoughts are consumed with skating and has enough money to spend all their time feeding the addiction, which just so happens to manifest itself into an unfathomable assortment of primo slide concoctions. First up is a tray flip primo slide frontside primo shove, then a tray flip primo slide back foot primo heel flip, followed by a varial heel flip primo slide back foot primo heel flip, a nollie tray flip primo slide primo shove, and a kick flip primo slide back foot primo heel flip nose manual. The tic tac on this nose manual nollie 360 shove manual kick flip primo slide primo shove should have been reason enough to put this clip on the cutting floor, but thankfully it's not the last trick, which is a kickflip primo slide back foot primo half heel flip primo slide frontside primo shove. Rodney's part was made up of 70 tricks and combos. Does Daewon have more? Daewon's first clip starts in the cement mini bowl, and is a 4-trick line made up of a blunt stall to fakie, fakie ollie to regular, ollie to fakie, then a tray flip to fakie, while the killers, all these things that I've done, puts us in an early to mid 2000s time capsule, and the golden glow of the Southern California sun reminds anyone who's not from there how much better it is to be skating there than wherever you're from, with a silhouette tray flip gap between the tops of 2 semi-truck trailers. A couple impressive quarter pipe tricks, including a backside 5-0 stall kickflip to fakie and a blunt stall tray flip to fakie, get us ready for Daewon's bread and butter manuals. The first line starts with a kickflip manual kickflip and is closed out with a symmetrical fakie kickflip fakie manual fakie kickflip. Next is a frontside kickflip fakie manual frontside half cab, followed by a fakie varial heel flip fakie manual frontside half cab. Then a fakie kickflip fakie manual frontside half cab kickflip before capping off the manual clips with a Rick flip manual kickflip. Hitting the famous crusty hip on the intersection of York Boulevard and San Pasquale Avenue in LA's Highland Park neighborhood, Daewon slams his ass into Colin Kennedy's camera after a nollie backside 360 heel flip. Another manual clip depicts a nollie tray flip manual kick flip before we get tortured with 3 of the 4 tray flips over gaps in regular fakie and nollie stance, but instead of any switch tray, Daewon flips us the bird with a boosted 10 to 15 foot kick flip gap from a roof onto a shipping container. Who'd have thought that blunt sliding into a mesh wire fence would catch your wheels and pitch you forward on the landing? Daewon figured a way around it, then gaps a scary channel with the part's second nollie backside 360 heel flip. The hunger for bench tricks over the roof gaps wasn't satiated in 1999, so Daewon stresses everyone out with an inward heel flip tail slide and a kick flip frontside crook. A couple more increasingly difficult manuals include what I'll guess is something close to a frontside 180 switch manual shove fakie manny frontside half cab. Then Daewon comes to his senses and keeps the bench where it belongs and does an inward heel flip tail slide fakie manual. A super quick 3-piece is next that includes a nollie tray flip up a curb, then a kick flip to fakie on a bank, and ends with a Rick flip aka fakie frontside big spin heel flip off the curb. 4 more consecutive manuals. First is a frontside 180 fakie manual fakie ollie fakie manual frontside half cab, then a fakie flip fakie manual, then a switch ollie fakie manual fakie ollie fakie manual fakie tray flip, and a switch ollie fakie manual fakie kick flip fakie manual, before we get a breather from the Mannies with a nose blunt to fakie 5-0 to fakie. Jeez, dude. Then 5 more manual clips, starting with a nollie tray flip manual pivot fakie manual, a nollie backside 360 heel flip manual, switch ollie fakie manual fakie tray flip up the angled Manny pad, completing the inevitable last turn with the nollie backside 360 heel flip manual backside 180, and a well done fakie inward heel flip fakie manual fakie kick flip before another gasp of air from manuals with a switch backside nose grind fakie varial heel flip, then a clap back to Rodney's grind transfer clip with this switch backside nose grind fakie ollie transfer to fakie 5-0. And then it's more Dorsey Banks footage with a switch ollie fakie manual fakie tray flip switch manual, then a crazy steep ollie up a bank to kick flip to fakie drop off. These transition clips are what make it a little easier to give Daewon some edge against Rodney, who'd probably never be found even looking at a quarter pipe with this much vert, let alone doing a tweaked frontside 5-0 stall to fakie. Puddles present no problem for Daewon in the ollie onto the brick bank to frontside tail slide. Good thing Daewon skates decks that are less than 8 inches, cause any wider of a board on this curved hubba/bank and his tray flip to fakie couldn't exist. This tray flip and Rick flip on the faraway shot of the huge crusty steep bank give me anxiety, and then 15 back-to-back manual combos are up next. Initiated by a fakie tray flip fakie manual gap out, nollie tray flip nose manual, kickflip nose manual, nollie tray flip, switch kickflip fakie manual, fakie tray flip, a transfer trifecta via the switch ollie fakie manual, fakie ollie fakie manual, fakie ollie fakie manual, switch frontside 180 manual, backside pivot fakie manual, half cab flip, kickflip manual, kickflip manual, kickflip, and a switch ollie fakie manual, fakie kickflip, fakie manual, frontside half cab, before we get some mirror manuals. In this case, it's a fakie double kickflip fakie manual, fakie kickflip, paired with a fakie kickflip, fakie manual, fakie double kickflip. You can see how much control Daewon has by how steady his popping foot is, patiently waiting to lock the tail into the manual after the Rick flip, then throw in a frontside 180 out to stay stimulated. And more mirroring as well follows when he reflects the aforementioned trick with a frontside 180 fakie manual Rick flip. The first of the last 3 manuals in this section are a fakie heel flip, fakie manual, fakie varial heel flip, switch ollie fakie manual fakie kickflip, fakie manual fakie kickflip, and then finally we get a switch tray sighting done into a fakie manual with a fakie kickflip out. Timed perfectly with this song's climax, we get some irrelevant B-roll of LA's crippling poverty and homelessness to hype us up for some more gnar, where we return to the semi-truck trailer gap. There's a horribly distracting, grandiose, zoom-in star blast transition on Daewon before the tray flip that needs to be addressed. I listened to Hot Fuss on repeat every day for at least a month in 2004 when that album came out, but it doesn't go well with Daewon's skating. All these things that I've done is a very 2004 sounding pop rock anthem, whereas Daewon on a skateboard is much more timeless than a hot Billboard hit that came out a few months before Round 3 was released. In my opinion, the money used to fund this project went to the wrong things, like paying for a music team with connections that could get copyright clearance for skaters to use iconic songs in their parts. After the tray flip, Daewon frontside flips the same gap. Then a bump to flat bar gets sessioned with no less than 5 tricks, including a frontside 180 nose grind, backside Smith, and a backside tail slide, with the remaining 2 shots showing where more of the project's budget went, revealed by the shadow of a crane filming rig fully equipped with a seat, capturing Daewon doing a kickflip frontside board slide, then a tray flip lip slide. The last semi-truck trailer gap trick is a bump to pole jam type deal, where Daewon gets close to God on one of the bales, then lands the crooked grind gap out. Daewon produced too much footy to call that the ender, so we head back down to earth and do some combos. Starting with a switch backside nose grind fakie manual, fakie kickflip, fakie manual, a frontside 180 fakie manual, frontside half cab kickflip manual, and a manual tray flip nose manual. More benches? Why not? How about a fakie kickflip backside 5-0 fakie kickflip to fakie? Maybe throw a manual into it with a fakie kickflip backside 5-0 fakie manual fakie kickflip. Still not done yet. Let's turn the corner with the switch ollie fakie manual fakie kickflip fakie manual. The final 5 tricks of Daewon's round 3 part all include manuals, starting with a fakie inward heel flip fakie manual, fakie varial heel flip, nollie tray flip manual tray flip, mirrored by a tray flip nose manual nollie tray flip, then a switch tray flip fakie manual fakie tray flip. The last trick is a callback to one of Daewon's last tricks in his Deca second to none part, where he adds a manual out of the tray flip nose blunt down the ridiculous table setup off the shipping container. There's actually a couple more clips for both Daewon and Rodney in the end credits, including a nollie tray flip manual combo from Daewon, along with a kickflip to fakie, a fat blunt stall to fakie, and an ollie body varial fakie manual fakie kickflip. Rodney gives us more classic flat ground with a familiar line comprised of a nollie frontside 360 kickflip and, I guess, semi-flip. Tallying up the trick totals for Daewon, we're looking at 85 tricks and combos, which oddly enough is the same total he had from round 2. Rodney hauled in 72 tricks and combos, including the end credits line, giving him his personal highest total of all 3 lines. Daewon comes out on top in terms of trick volume for round 3, and since nothing really changed in terms of style, best fits, or innovation for both Daewon and Rodney, we'll keep it simple as far as determining who won round 3. Like the animation shows, Rodney got clobbered by Daewon in terms of productivity. And let's be honest, Daewon could run circles around Rodney on any type of terrain besides freestyle, flat ground, and that hybrid of the two where Rodney gets into primo slide combos. Rodney was 38 years old when round 3 came out. Daewon was in comparatively his physical prime, being only 29 at the time, so come on, we know Daewon is the champ in 2004. Instead of repeating what we already know about Rodney being the overall god because of his contributions to inventing flat ground as we know it today, and constantly pushing the limits of his own skills, while Daewon is the undisputed king of low-impact tech skating, I'll end by saying that it's impossible to objectively compare subjective mediums like a skateboarding video part synced with another subjective art form, music. Daewon's second to none part was much better than his round 3 part because the music goes much better with his skating and the part isn't as contrived. Rodney's opinion part was much better than his round 3 part as far as the skating itself, but I'm biased because that was the first video of him I ever saw. I don't think there's a single Rodney video part where the music makes sense. The songs aren't bad, but they're all top 10 radio hits that you'd hear on a TV commercial. Huge fan of both these dudes. It was fun studying their progression of the Versus trilogy across the 7-year time frame, and they've outskated everyone in their respective eras and disciplines, deserving all the accolades bestowed on them. Thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to check out some of the other number crunching vids on the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, click the notification bell to stay on top of new episodes, and drop a like if you enjoyed this breakdown. See you on the next dumb episode.